We live in an age and time where I can say I have played and platinumed Final Fantasy VII Remake, and here I am in this video to break down what I liked or didn't like from each aspect of the game. This review video is put after clocking 104 hours into the game, and did everything I could, so I can give you a solid opinion as much as I can. So let's get into it now. Final Fantasy VII Remake is a multiple-part project, with this part being the portion of Midgar only. However, this Midgar is familiar yet different at the same time. It is full of life and details added to it left and right. It goes beyond what you would expect from a video game remake, so the game will surprise you a few times. So if you think you're diving into this, thinking that you know exactly what's going to happen next, you're in for a huge shock. The story of this game where things can get controversial, with it starting off normally and add new beautiful details and scenes to the original. The characters are well written, and the new stars are enjoyable, even if they show up briefly. Each one of them is assigned to a certain role, and they play that role beautifully. And yes, Kira is mega cute, and I can't wait to see more of her in the upcoming parts. The main talk here is about the main cast though. They nailed the character development in this remake, and the interactions between the characters are very wholesome. Or funny if they wanted to be. Speaking of funny, Chapter 9 Wall Market was both hilarious and great storytelling. This is how you properly remake a chapter while staying faithful to the source material. The game kept up this pace until Chapter 17, when we find out that the Whisperers are entities responsible to keep fate in line with the original plot. My only issue is the Whisperers made the story play with death and emotions, by for example making Sephiroth kill Barret just for the Whisperers to bring him back to life. That scene was to show off their capabilities, but I wasn't a fan of it at all since it felt really forced, and any more of that in the future would really butcher the story. I enjoyed everything else, and with them now defeated, anything could happen to the future, which is both exciting and scary at the same time. Exciting because I want a new surprise and a new experience. Scary because if they do this wrong, and for example bring up Zack, it would take away from Cloud's character, and I don't really want this to happen in any way or shape. I enjoyed the story overall, but I really hope next time they do drastic changes, they be more transparent about it and instead of teasing it in interviews and such, because the backlash is going to be big, especially from those who decided to avoid the game news completely to have a fresh experience. The game combat and battle system is what I would dare to call Square Enix's best so far. And this is the reason why this game is my new favorite game of all time, because it rewards the strategic gameplay and learning the enemy's pattern. It is what I have been wishing and asking for since ages. They took every system from previous installments and mixed it all together. The result was this phenomenal combat. Each character plays different, and this is something I was worried about until I realized that they are all important for different situations, so switching characters will become necessary later. The material system have never been better. Messing around with it to create different builds and strategies is always fun too. You'll find yourself switching and experimenting a lot with it according to the fight you're approaching. All of this is put in a good use with extremely fun boss fights. Each boss is different from the other, requires different strategy and approach. I can't stress enough how amazing these fights are, and I can't pick up a favorite since there are too many fights that I found fun and challenging in a good way. The face transitions are well made with jaw-dropping real-time cutscenes. They are so well animated and really add to the fun. What I really appreciated too is the sequences where you control the other party members when they are separated from Cloud, giving you much more context about what they went through while they were alone. I'm really glad they put these sequences, and the one that did it the most for me was when Aerith went to save Merlene. Gladly, this game is really lengthy and full of content too. It took me 31 hours to beat for my first normal playthrough, including most of the side quests, but this won't be it, since you will be unlocking hard mode and chapter select, which added more replayability value since you can't experience everything on one playthrough. There are character choices that can affect the cutscenes and dialogues. There are also Shinra combat simulation battles and more. This gameplay is the perfect form for a modern Final Fantasy game, and I hope it carry over to the next Final Fantasy project and improve upon it. So I'll be happy to have this system for Final Fantasy 16 or whatever the next Final Fantasy game is. One thing Final Fantasy never fails to impress with is the music. We had mixed opinions about past Final Fantasies, but we all agreed that the music is one thing that never dips in quality. I don't know what kind of black magic they use with this, but in this game the music is better than ever. With each theme has multiple versions, one for the battle and one for the field. There's nothing much to say other than that they have done a pretty damn good job with the music. It is simply flawless. Let's talk about the voice acting now. The voice acting in English and Japanese is pretty good. I found myself enjoying some voices in English more than the Japanese, or the other way around. Fortunately, the game provides you with the option to switch the dub language whenever you please. Both actors and actresses have done a good job. The lines are well delivered and they really manage to capture the essence of the characters or the moment. There's a certain scene that I could feel Barrett's struggle from his voice while climbing the stairs.
Another day, another struggle. Climbing stairs, so much trouble.
And the emotional scenes in the game, especially Tifa's crying scene, made me legit tear up, and it's coming from someone who don't tear up easily. He got me there. In the end, I love the music and voice acting, and I think this game features my favorite voice cast and music in any Final Fantasy now. This game has one of the highest quality character models. They are on par with some high budget CGI movies. The attention to details to the hair and the skin is something I haven't seen in any game of this generation yet. It is almost scary how perfect the characters look. The game lighting is on point too and reflects on the right angles, helping the environment look more fascinating and easier to look at its details. Especially during the nighttime sceneries, the game can look at its best there. Unfortunately, the same thing can't be said about the slums. It has the worst textures I have ever seen in any game this generation. Some straight up look bad, or some textures load slowly. I hope this is something they can fix in future patches, but if it's going to hurt the game performance for current gen consoles, then I expect a fix for it when the next gen arrive. The game runs well on both PS4 and PS4 Pro, staying stable even during the craziest scenes at 30 frames per second, and loading times are never an issue too, since there are no loading screens in between areas. You'll only see them in between chapters or when you load up the game, and they usually don't last for more than half a minute. In conclusion, Final Fantasy VII Remake set a great road towards the right path for the franchise. The gameplay was perfect, the music, the characters, and the way they managed to tell the story. The ending was very clever, and they managed to keep me surprised and look forward to the future. However, I stand by those who didn't read the interviews that mentions the game's nature for being a reimagination instead of a one-to-one remake. So if you want to know my score for the game, it is a solid 9.5 out of 10, and I would have given it a 10 easily if they were more transparent about the changes. Last word before I finish the video. This remake doesn't replace the original game by any means, but it sits right next to it to expand the Final Fantasy VII universe, and the release for this remake made the original game and its compilations even more essential. So play the original 7 and Crisis Core if you haven't, because it will make the remake series more interesting for you. Like always, thank you all for watching and see you next time in my next Final Fantasy VII Remake video.